Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Luke and I live in the West Midlands in the UK with my partner and our 2 young children, and we're looking to live a more frugal, minimal and simple life. And today is Dave's debut on camera.
Hey guys.
He's usually behind it, but I've coaxed him out to talk about and do a few videos actually. This is the first of them, talking about our 2024 and looking ahead to 2025. What I just wanted to look at in this video today is budgeting. In 2024, at the start of 2024, we realised we needed to get a grip of our finance if we wanted to have a more minimal and simple life and really achieve our long-term goals. Not a video today on long-term goals, we'll do a separate one on that. But, you know, and those long-term goals are very different for different people. It could be looking at retirement, the next house move, how you fund having children in the future, all those kind of things. We've got our own, haven't we? And what we realised is we were never improving our financial position to moving towards those long-term goals. And we realised we obviously knew how much we had coming in. We kind of knew how much was going out. But turns out as we did a budget, perhaps we didn't have a grip on as much as we thought. And we're lucky. We work a lot of hours, we have decent enough paid jobs, we keep our costs relatively low. In theory, we should always be making every year big strides financially to our long-term goals. And it just seems our financial position was never improving year on year, and there was always something that was holding it back, and we could never put our finger on it, could we? So we budgeted. I've always had a budget in my head and rough figures, but we wrote it down, Excel spreadsheets, well up my street, right? And I've created quite a big spreadsheet, which has our monthly tracker and our real long-term debt and savings. And that has really helped us in 2024. And I just want us to reflect on that, what we've learned from it, and how we'll move forward with that budget. So our first lesson is that we knew that we needed to budget and not just have figures in our heads and approximations, but actually have a written budget. I think it's fair to say I'm the more financial person out of us, and I'm more of the frugal person naturally. And I've always had in my head the monthly calculations, paycheck to paycheck, how much we're going to put in that account, how much we're going to save, how much we're going to spend and have some fun with. But it just seemed, I think it's fair to say, we looked over the last few years that our financial position just never seems to improve. It's not a bad financial position, but it was never going on an upwards trajectory.
There was always something to spend money on, not just fruitless things, but big things that we needed to spend money on. You know, vet bills and cars and MOTs, and always something every month.
And it just seemed to wipe any intention of progression out. So we decided to budget and really track that spend and income. And we knew we weren't going to make big changes this year. It was about creating visibility of what our baseline is. So hopefully, if I've learned how to do it, you'll see a snapshot of what monthly budget page on my ginormous Excel spreadsheet looks like. Nothing too fancy. It's literally in green what is our incomings, and that's usually via your salary, my salary. And in the UK, we've got 2 children, so everybody with 2 children is entitled to child benefit in this country. So that's our main incomings. There was different things throughout the year that we add to that. Sometimes in the summer you picked up odd jobs, didn't you, to add to those incomings?
I did some lawn work, mowing lawns, some decorating work.
Photography.
I also did a wedding and a few photography shoots.
Yeah, so largely our incomings are always quite fixed. But yeah, there always seems to be a particular summer that we're adding to it with a bit of imagination and largely your time really adding to it. In red, we've got our outgoings, and we evolved those over the year. So our list of outgoings at the start of the year, and these are largely our fixed outgoings, which are mortgage, bills, paying off those minimum payments on debt, then stuff like phone contracts and things like that, and groceries. Those real non-negotiables, those things that you need to have to survive and hopefully then go and thrive from. Those were there, and capturing those was really, really good, because you don't realise how big the list of outgoings is until you actually write it down.
Yeah, correct. And you totaling up small little direct debits like Disney's and Netflix's and subscriptions to this and subscriptions to that. And then you have a big, like we had in October, when the van needed new tyres, ended up having new wheels on it, an MOT, a service, and it just wiped out a couple of months' savings, didn't it?
Yeah. So, and I think that there's what we have in red is our regular outgoings that we budget for, but then what we did learn as well was that there was always seemed to be a couple of £100 on average every month at something. And that something will look different for different people. It could be your dishwasher breaking, your car needing some new tyres, your having to renew your passport, just really random things. There just always seem to be something.
In our case, a Volkswagen van.
Yeah.
That always needs things.
It always needs things. So yes, that Dave's favourite thing to spend money on, which is the bane of my life. And yeah, I think we totted that up to towards the end of 2024. We realised it was about £2.5 that we'd spend on stuff that just wasn't budgeted for, but was required. And we looked back at previous years, didn't we? And we didn't have this detail because we didn't run detailed budgets at that point. But we kind of realised it's between £2 and £3 every year. There's just something. So what we've done this year going forward, one of the big lessons from having a budget was to actually put in place that we pay £200 into a sinking funds account every month, and that is money that we can spend. It's on the weird and wonderful stuff. Washing machine breaks, no problem, we've got sinking funds to cover it. Car files and MOT, no issue, we've got the funds to cover it. So we've actually worked that into our budget this year because we did this baseline budget, realising it wasn't there. And then the last thing about our budget, we've got the leftover spend, and I think this is probably our biggest waste. So by the time you've had your incomings, subtracted your firm outgoings, you're left with X amount, and that will look different for different people. And generally for us, it changed throughout the year because our spend really changed throughout the year. We've got children in nursery, and those fees came down as one child went into school and another child qualified for a certain amount of hours free childcare. So we managed towards the back end of the year, we had a lot more in that blue column than in January and February. But in previous years, it just seemed we must have pre-children been having like a couple of £1,000s in that blue column every month in previous years.
But it's not anywhere to see.
I don't know where it's gone. Probably on things like holidays and just wasteful spending on days out and going around shops. So what this enabled us to do this year, I think, was actually go, well, this month we've got £1,000 left over. Wow, what a privileged, lucky position we're in. What we're doing with that £1,000, and we really had different bank accounts for the first time, and cash envelopes and things like that, where we really just put that money intentionally. And I think that's then helped with some of our further goals. We put ourselves personal spend in our budget every month, so it's generally £150 or £200 depending on how tight we are, and that is no questions asked, £200 each, spending on what you want. Coffees, parts for your van, vinyl records, whatever your passion is in your hobby. We're a big believer of actually indulging in that. And I think having that freedom in the budget, we're lucky. We're not living paycheck to paycheck. We have decent jobs, we have decent wages. We're not poor, but we realise we were wasteful. So we've got money to spend on those luxuries. This isn't the ultimate frugal challenge.
It makes you save for things that you want, and it makes you really think about buying something off Amazon, whether you really need it. It makes you question the wants rather than the needs, or the needs rather than the wants. It's tough.
It is, but we're in a position where I think towards the back end of the year we had between say £1,200 to £1,500 left over every month, all allocated, and I really like the phrase "make hay while the sun shines," because we are relatively young still. Well, I'm sure our backs don't feel like it,
Yeah.
and we are in good jobs and earn decent wages, and our outgoings are low. That doesn't last forever. Nothing does. So let's make sure that £1,200 or £1,500 left over at a month, we are putting away really intentionally to help with our really, really long term goals. This video is probably not for those, but we have one eye on retirement already. We have one eye on perhaps where we want to live in the future. Those are our long term goals, and you can only achieve it when you're really intentional about budgeting in your money. So budgeting, I think, been a success this year.
Yeah, I mean, you've said it before. We're really, really lucky. We have good jobs. We have a nice place to live. A lot of people don't have that, and here we are moaning and complaining about not having much personal spend when we are so lucky in the first place that we have money left over to pot off and section into different things to use for different things, and it does make you think how lucky we are, but even still it makes you not want to be wasteful with that. I think we've woken up to some degree with kind of the wastefulness of, and I don't think we were particularly any worse than anybody else.
I don't think we're anywhere
how
near
many
it.
times does the Amazon man come around your house? How many times do you go on Just Eat? How many times do you have a coffee? When the van comes out at work, how many times a week do you buy off from that? It's just normal stuff, but I think you kind of get trapped into that kind of doing that, and then you don't necessarily see what you're doing.
Yeah, it becomes uncontrollable. Those treats you almost make as necessities in your head. That back in the day, 10 years ago, you'd have a treat on payday at work. Where you and the office staff would have a takeout on payday. Over the course of me working, I realised that's become every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Then almost, sometimes just whenever you feel like it, so 2-3 times a week, the Just Eat delivery guys pulling up on our car park at work, because we're all indulging in these treats, because we have a lot of people are really lucky in jobs where they've got that wiggle room. I've actually got plenty of money left over. They're just using it totally wastefully, and we were them.
Yeah.
We would go around shopping centres on a Saturday looking for things to buy that we didn't need. We were scrolling Just Eat, buying food, unhealthy, unnutritious food.
One of the easiest things you can do is just log out of Just Eat. That's what we did, and when we do want to take away, we go and fetch it, and that's you're getting a takeaway when you want to take away. You're getting it piping hot because you've just gone to fetch it. It's only 2 minutes down the road usually, and you're also saving money.
Yeah, and I think the main thing as well, it comes out of our personal spends. So if we want a takeaway, or we want to go to a shopping centre and buy something, it's got to come out of that personal spend line. You've got £200, you better make sure that £30 Chinese or that £25 t-shirt is worth it, because it's a good percentage of that personal spend line. I think that's really worked really well for us, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to budget and not have that personal autonomous spend. Personally, we don't have to do that, we're lucky, and I would never want to. I like having that little bit of grey area for a little bit of fun, and sometimes just following your emotions and your interests and your hobbies.
Yeah.
So that's our verdict on the 2024 budget and what we've learned. I think it's created a really good baseline, hasn't it, for understanding our finances. And I know, and having that understanding of your baseline of finances is the way you move forward. Everybody's in a different position watching this, and our position will change over the next few years. It does, everything evolves. But you've got to know what your baseline is to be able to be sketching out goals and realising what you can and can't achieve and how you make your strides forward. How do you know what you can save or what you can pay off your debt or how many holidays you can go on or how large your grocery shop can be if you don't know the baseline of your budget? And what we've done this year is understood that baseline so we can go and make further goals and go and achieve some things in the future. And I think having a real visual check, I hope you agree, don't you?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Keeps you on track, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
And motivated.
Well, it keeps you motivated.
Keeps me motivated.
Keeps me motivated.
And keeps Dave in line. So that's 2024 done. 2025 budgeting has already begun as well, which we'll be sharing with you. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have an awesome day.
Bye bye.